What's up, Buttercups? Well, I am on the road. I'm in Florida visiting my parents, and you may notice something looking at me today. Yeah, had a little mishap, a 1 in a million Florida pool man moment. Went into a pool yesterday, dark, had like some LED lights on, dove in, 1 in a million shot. Don't know how I did it. Didn't hit the bottom with my face, didn't hit the side with my face, but somehow diving into the pool, my arm came back and I hit myself right in the lip, on top of my tooth, through my lip, and chipped half of my tooth off. So that's what I'm dealing with. How's your day going? How's your week? Anyway, this will be short. I'm going to bang it out since I am here out of town and, of course, am missing half a tooth. But some interesting happenings. Of course, if you want to know what's happening in our world, you can follow us on Twitter. You can subscribe to the network, which, of course, has 5 full shows. And if you want to do more, you can go to patreon.com/Lions of Liberty for bonus content. And apologies, I've not done my morning rant show this week, obviously, because I have been out of town and dealing with all sorts of other things. Anyway, so top of the list has to be the Epstein client list. Top of the non-existent list for the show today is that after all the hoopla, after all the promises, after Pam Bondi telling us that the Epstein list was on her desk, what happens? Nothing. We're told that Epstein, in fact, suicided himself, although I saw some other report that said he was more likely murdered. So I don't know what to believe from the Department of Justice at this point. We now are hearing that, oh, there was no client list at all. Oh, the files. It wasn't a list. It was files. And those files were simply, child pedo stuff, different photos and but never sex with the people, never with the children, which I'm sorry seems almost impossible to believe. You're telling me that a man who we know factually had a setup wherein throughout his house there were video cameras, where he has his Israeli passport, his American passport, where the CIA has confirmed he's an asset, right? Let's not forget that the CIA had Jeffrey Epstein listed as an asset. They're just paying this guy to be a pedophile? They're just paying him to hang around? All these people that fly to the island and there happen to be young girls everywhere, no questions raised, right? Oh, there's no clients there. I just had no idea what's going on there. Not a list, no clients. What is Ghislaine Maxwell in prison for? Did she also have files full of pedophile images on her computer? Is that why she's in prison? Because it certainly seems that she went to prison based on something else, based upon actions taken, and yet we're being told that's not the case. I mean, this stinks to high hell. Everything about it reeks. It certainly seems, and this was probably inevitable that it was going to be the outcome, and I'd said this earlier, that as we talk through this, everybody's got something to lose here. The people that are high up have everything to lose. There's too many people on the list, and I do believe there's a list. I believe 100% that there's a list of Jeffrey Epstein clients. I believe 100% that there's incriminating photos of people in power. I've no doubt in my mind. No matter what the government might tell me, I know the government lies constantly, and I'm not going to believe a single word that comes out of any of their mouths, especially as they flip-flop back and forth and play fast and loose with the truth, and they basically gin up the population to pretend to give us what we want, right? To announce, oh, the client list will be coming out, and then what? Nothing. Donald Trump, are we still talking about Epstein? Why are we talking about Epstein? Why are we talking about Epstein? Because he happened to have a pedophile ring that the most powerful people in the world were involved in. That's why we want to talk about Epstein. That's why it's still top of mind for so many of us. So I don't know. What else is there to say about it? Will another president pick up the mantle and run with it? Of course not. Again, because there's far too many powerful people. Maybe 40 years from now, something will be declassified. We'll finally find out the truth when all of these people are dead and buried. But if any of their children happen to still be in power, we're still not going to get the result that we want out of this. We're still never going to see it. It just goes to show you, it's very frustrating when, similar to the war state, whoever you vote for, right? Tom Woods' phrase, whoever you get for, you end up with John McCain. Well, looks like the same thing. Whoever you vote for, you still end up with the Epstein files being classified and being sold to a raft of complete and total bullshit. All right, so there's one topic. For those of you just tuning in onto the live stream, you'll notice I chipped a tooth. It sucks. It really, I don't know. I kind of like it. I kind of like it. Wonderful. Thanks for Alex reposted the stream to show everybody my chipped tooth. But yeah, chipped my tooth diving into a pool here in Florida, actually with my hand. Somehow my hand hit my tooth and chipped it. Amazing. All right, next thing I want to talk about, guys. You know what's fascinating? Throughout history, our government has taken away our rights and our privileges. They never give them back, ever, right? Think about the Patriot Act. Think about all of the spying. Think about all of the restrictions we have. But you know what came out of that 9/11 attack was one of the most insidious, awful organizations the government's ever introduced, which is the TSA. All right, to make us feel safe and secure in the airports, to make sure no shoe bombings are going on. But for the most part, it's pure theater. We see this because there's time and time again where people have illustrated how easy it is to actually sneak real weapons on the plane, real, knives, guns, you name it, through various tricks. And they share how they walked right through the security on YouTube. And they show you how you can do it if you want to do it too. We know it's theater. It's farce. It's security theater to make people feel, I don't know, somewhat safe, all while patting down your genitals and making you go through, x-ray machines. And let's not forget the x-ray scandal too, with the hilariously named Rapiscan or Rapiscan machines that sent a nude picture of you to a undisclosed location at TSA headquarters. And we were told without a doubt they would be deleted. Well, none of them were deleted. Yeah, of course, that came out. Big shocker there. But amazingly, I'll give the Trump administration credit for this. Amazingly, the TSA just announced a major change. We might be getting back the one right that the government is going to restore to us, and that we're allowed to wear shoes again. Yes, you may keep your shoes on when flying, which makes you question why the hell we took our shoes off when flying to begin with. We took them off because no reason. That's why. All of this stuff, as I said, all of these things didn't matter. None of them accomplished anything except to make you feel like you were being taken care of, but also feel the heavy boot of government. And let's not forget the TSA was also a very handy way to boost government enrollment numbers and boost employment. How many TSA agents do you see standing around with their hands up their asses? I don't know. For me, it's at least 10 every time I go to the airport. And the lines still take forever. And some of these people, I'm not saying some of them aren't nice people. Some are pleasant. Some are the dumbest people that have ever worked for government, the dumbest people I've ever met in my life, the most surly people I've ever met in my life. I'm just happy to have my shoes back on. And as I mentioned, this might be the only time in the history of government that they returned a quote unquote right to the public. Because if you think about every single other thing, as I said, domestic spying, taxation, freedom of speech violations, domestic censorship, all of these things are still in full effect. The entire deep agency world is basically based upon infringing on your rights and freedoms in ways that have slowly and insidiously crept along to the point where people don't even realize the rights they've had taken away. So many people are so used to going to the airport, taking their shoes off because it's been a right denied to you for so long that I can guarantee the TSA agents are going to have to bark at people. Keep your shoes on, ma'am. Keep your shoes on. That's where we're at. That's the public. And I thought with Doge and some of the other initiatives that had begun under Trump that the Overton window was going to shift and people were going to say, hey, you know what? We have been being screwed. We have been being taken advantage of. We haven't been effed in the A for so many years with these programs and these intrusions. And I do think that that's still moving along. Obviously Elon Musk is talking about starting this America Party. I still think that he's basically undertaking a fool's errand because of how difficult it is with ballot access challenges to get in there, to get the signatures. You have to spend millions and millions of dollars, which of course he has. But it's going to be a task that, of course, there's going to be motivation from the major parties to get in his way at all points and at all times. We saw the legal shenanigans that the Democrat Party tried to pull against RFK, against libertarian candidates as well. We see the GOP and the tricks that they'll play. Elon Musk should entertain the Libertarian Party. He should talk to us, considering he overlaps with us on so many issues. But we'll see what happens. We'll see if he starts this America Party, how far it gets, how fast it gets anywhere. I'm sure there'll be a lot of interest in it at first blush. But I think he's going to find that getting people motivated to the point, getting out there and tackling the actual barriers that are to ballot access that are imposed by states that are run by these two-party system clowns is going to be something that he doesn't quite grasp at this point in time. So we'll see if he comes around. Last thing, guys, I wanted to talk about this. So, and then I'll wrap it up. And again, every time I say something, I look at the count of people watching. So I have to explain again. I chipped my tooth diving into a pool on my own hand. So that's why I look like this. I'm getting it fixed on Friday. Last thing on this very short episode. Well, two things. Number one, guys, if go to the Libertarian Party feed, because we have a 31 days of tyranny countdown we're doing, and we're counting down as voted by our membership and people who are subscribed to our email list, the 31 greatest threats to liberty. So that's our 31 days of tyranny countdown. Make sure to go check that out on our social medias. Today was AIPAC, everyone's favorite. AIPAC that has undermined our sovereignty, that is, my children are now outside banging on the window to get in here. This is why it'll be a short show. Not just a chip tooth, Florida man on vacation with children in the background. So anyway, AIPAC, with famously Ron Paul, before he left Congress, had presented what he felt like were the biggest threats were to democracy, and AIPAC was one of the prime listers in there. This is an organization which, as we tweeted out today, when you look at our representatives, somebody like Ted Cruz, who is completely in the pocket of AIPAC, has received millions of dollars in funding from AIPAC, who was out there and said, well, I became a senator to support Israel, when clearly he is positioning Israel before the interests of the American population. And this is evidenced by us having attacks on foreign nations that are really zero danger to the United States of America and which are very unpopular. The strike on Iran and war with Iran is very unpopular, just like the Iraq war was very unpopular. And we're being inundated with propaganda from our congressmen, from our media members that are bought and paid for by AIPAC. And if you have representatives that are bought and paid for by a foreign entity, which is not registered as such, by the way, then you have no representation at all. And that's the flat out truth of the amount of influence AIPAC wields, which Thomas Massey has very eloquently described how they operate in the office, and how the first thing you do when you get into office is have your AIPAC representative sit down with you and tell you how it is. But the last thing I want to talk about is an interesting tidbit where James Comey and I believe John Brennan, have been formally told that they will be investigated by the FBI in regards to Russiagate. Now, documents recently came out after an investigation was done indicating that Obama was involved in this, that Clapper was involved in this, Comey was involved in this, Brennan was involved in this. Essentially, that they knew that the information was bad, and that I believe it was Brennan at the time had said, well, you know what we're going to do? We're going to skirt around this issue of being told specifically, I think it was by the CIA in particular, that this is bad intel. You can't trust the men it's coming from. At best, you can take tiny portions of this, but it's no way indicative of a conspiracy or a treasonous action by Donald Trump. And what they did was instead they went to this panel of, what was it called? The report from the Intelligence Community Assessment, I believe. I think it's the ICA. They go to the Intelligence Community Assessment and get these agency, heads that they've got in their pockets, not even agency heads, members of agencies that are high enough that they can claim the agencies themselves had supported it. They then put out a bogus document saying that, 16 of the intelligence agencies all agree in this assessment paper that Donald Trump committed conspiracy. Well, the true conspiracy is the treasonous actions undertaken by members of the deep state, like James Comey. And they're basically going to go after these people. And I hope to God that they both rot in cells. Not because I'm any sort of Trump apologist, not because I feel that Donald Trump has, has to be vindicated against all costs, but because when you talk about the actions that are taken by these men, where they entrap other members of the American population at all times. I mean, look what happened to who's the general that they trapped. They said he was talking to the Russians in advance, and essentially tried to throw him in prison and ruined his life and cost him hundreds of thousands in legal bills. Well, these men who have done so much to undermine everyday Americans, who have committed treasonous actions, they deserve to rot in jail. And honestly, considering the amount of evidence that there seems to be in regards to the actions taken during the whole Russiagate scandal, I'd be shocked if they weren't in prison. I mean, there's no way that they're going to get some sort of immunity out of this. And it would be a delightful comeuppance. Well-deserved. The only question is how many inches the mop handle has to go in. All right, that's it. As I said, apologies for the short show. The next time you see me, I will have all my teeth in place, and I'll be back in my regular my regular surroundings instead of my father's office. But I didn't want to leave you guys hanging, so I appreciate you. Remember, guys, go and follow me. Go and follow the Lions of Liberty Network. Subscribe to our feeds, and don't forget to follow along with the 31 Days of Tyranny on the Libertarian Party X account, as well as our Facebooks, our other socials. And we're also going to be launching and updating that on a dedicated website on lp.org. All right, guys, thanks so much from me, Brian McWilliams, your semi-toothed scion of liberty. Keep those electric eyes on me, babe. And keep that ray gun to my tooth. All right, bye-bye, guys. Talk to you soon.